Here's some dewy cushion foundations you might be interested in if you have dry skin. Now this is just my experience on my skin, so take this video as a light guide. Now let's get started. So first up we have the Amuse Dew Jelly Cushion Foundation, which is a pretty popular cushion amongst all the Amuse collection. This won several awards and is a vegan cushion with SPF 38+++. So originally this comes in a light yellow compact, but for a limited time they came out with this white version along with a daisy-shaped puff in honor of a K-pop idol named Wonyoung being their new ambassador. I believe they still have this limited edition on the Olive Young website, but I'm not 100% sure. They do label it as Amuse Dew Jelly Cushion Foundation Daisy Edition, but the stock photo is the original yellow packaging. Either way, it's the same product. So this is a mesh cushion with lots of product upon opening it, and the daisy puff is just so adorable, but I still think the original puff is a lot more practical. As for coverage and finish, out of all the cushions I'll be talking about in this video, this has the least amount of coverage. I remember a subscriber asked me to review a cushion foundation that doesn't have medium to high coverage, since that's the only type of coverage that I review. It's the only cushion foundation that I own that has very low coverage. If you don't have many skin issues and are just looking to even out your skin tone, then you'll love this moisturizing cushion for dry skin. It doesn't cover up dark spots, but it will cover redness and pores. As you can see from the swatch, it's on the sheer side and is very watery. It's basically a cushion that feels like a tinted serum. I don't feel any stickiness when I apply this, so that's something that I really liked. The finish is on the natural side. The shade I got was basically identical to my actual skin tone. I almost thought no product was coming out just because of how closely it resembles my skin. So transfer and longevity. Since this is a watery cushion, it does have a slight bit of transfer, but I feel like that's pretty inevitable with most dewy, glowy cushion foundations. So make sure you're not touching your face too often. In these videos, I purposely don't set my face with setting powder just to see the true effect of the cushion foundation and to see how long it lasts without any additional products. As for longevity, I will say it didn't get cakey nor cling on to dry patches because of how much essence it contains. It kept my face moisturized all day, even on my combination to oily skin. I do have dry patches on my cheeks, but it didn't seem to emphasize any of that. But I do admit, at the 5-hour mark, my skin does look pretty oily. My natural oils were starting to mix in with the makeup and it was not very pretty. But if you have dry skin, you will have a different experience and you will definitely look hydrated and healthy all day. And you might be thinking, why would you test a cushion foundation that's dewy and meant for dry skin? That's because I want to accommodate to all skin types and I don't want to leave out the dry skin girls, even though most of my cushion foundations are like matte to dewy. Now let's move on to the TirTir Crystal Mesh Cushion Foundation. When it comes to TirTir, they don't disappoint, especially with this beautiful packaging. Tried the entire TirTir collection, and this one reminds me of the Silver Aura cushion, but slightly better. So for packaging, this is on the heavier side because the compact weighs more than your average cushion. It comes in a mesh style, which is different since all their other cushions are regular sponge cushion. As for coverage and finish, this has medium coverage. It will cover up most of your skin imperfections. The thing I noticed about TirTir cushion foundation is that they all have this similar adherence to your skin. It's kind of hard to explain until you tried several of their cushions, but the best way I can explain it is that once you finish applying it, it gives off this fresh, glistening, sleek base that you can just tell it's a TirTir cushion foundation. Like if I were to do a blind test with different cushion foundations, I'm positive I'll be able to tell which one is a TirTir cushion foundation. The finish of this is a natural dewy finish without any heaviness that makes it ideal for an everyday makeup base. As for transfer and longevity, the thing that makes TirTir so special and popular is the low transfer and the longevity of it. I previously said it reminded me of the Silver Aura cushion, but that's only in terms of the finish. This doesn't transfer as easily as the Silver Aura cushion. Now, I'm not going to say it has no transfer at all, but I will say it does have low transfer. It isn't as noticeable as most dewy cushion foundation. Some cushion foundation will leave an obvious mark, but this cushion foundation is very faint. You can't really see the phone mark or fingerprint mark, so that was pretty impressive for a dewy cushion. As for longevity, like most TirTir cushion foundation, this lasts more than 5 hours without budging. As you can see, it still remained intact dewy, and free from any separation. But I really can't think of anything negative to say. And no, this cushion foundation is not sponsored. Every time I talk positively about a certain product, someone's always saying, sponsor, sponsor, sponsor. All I ask for in a cushion foundation is a decent amount of coverage, great adherence, and lasts a long time without looking cakey within the first 4 to 5 hours. Therefore, it's not sponsored. That's all I ask. Those 3 things, and TirTir cushion foundation delivers. I don't know why, I just feel so energized today. I don't know if it's because I'm so pumped up about talking about this cushion foundation, but in my past few videos, I've been feeling very fatigued and sucked out of my energy. But today is different. Whenever I talk about something that I really like, it gets me going. Overall, amazing cushion with beautiful packaging. Doesn't this remind you of like Sailor Moon? Now onto the Too Cool for School Fixing Dew Cushion. If you've been watching my cushion foundation reviews, then you might know that I'm in love with the Too Cool for School Fixing Nude Cushion. So when this came out, I immediately purchased it because I thought it would be such a great cushion foundation to review for all the dry skin girls. Instantly thought it was a dewy version of the Fixing Nude cushion, so I had very high expectations of this because of how well the Fixing Nude cushion performed. But did it meet my high expectations? To my surprise, it did not. It was at most mediocre. Now let's talk about it. For packaging wise, it's a pretty basic cushion packaging with the typical sponge cushion. I do like Too Cool for School's puff since it applies and it adheres well to the skin. So coverage and finish. The coverage is pretty similar to the Fixing Nude cushion. It has medium coverage and it does a sufficient job in covering basic imperfections. This has a nice lightweight finish that is dewy/glowy depending on how much product you layer on. Now let's talk about the transfer and longevity. This is the part where I was disappointed. It does have low transfer, but when you compare it to the Fixing Nude cushion, the Fixing Nude cushion basically has no transfer and high staying power. As for longevity, after 4 hours, it starts to look so cakey and break down quickly. I swear, prior to applying this and filming, I didn't even notice I had a tiny whitehead, but after the 4-hour mark, my pimple I didn't know existed emerged and got bigger out of nowhere, which caught me by surprise. The makeup and the oil mixed together might have aggravated my skin, and the pimple just popped out and did not like this makeup on my skin. It ended up looking so greasy that I just wanted to remove everything. I mean, this cushion at first looks moisturizing and dewy, but as time goes by, I feel like rather than keeping my face hydrated like they claim, it just melts off. And I didn't realize that one of the descriptions of this cushion foundation was, while the thin oil coating keeps makeup fresh and radiant. The thin oil coating they're talking about doesn't make my skin radiant, but it does mix in with my natural oils and makes it look like a complete mess. I tested this about 4 to 5 times because I was in denial, and usually my first impression about a cushion foundation is always accurate. I'm not sure if this would be the best option for dry skin as well. Even though I have combination to oily skin, I do have dry patches on my cheeks, and this seemed to pretty much emphasize those dry patches. Now let's talk about Amuse's new ceramic cushion foundation. This is supposed to resemble a ceramic finish, and they claim that this is supposed to be a semi-matte finish, but I always end up with a dewy finish no matter how many times I've tried this. I've read several reviews from other people and they also mentioned that it's a dewy finish rather than a semi-matte. So as for packaging, the packaging is different from their typical cushions. This comes in an oval shape, but still has that clear element like all the other Amuse cushions. It's your typical sponge cushion and the puff is the same as well. As for coverage and finish, the ceramic cushion has a good amount of medium coverage. Just like the other cushions, you will need additional concealer for any dark hyperpigmentations, but I ended up not using any concealer because it did a decent job at covering my dark spot on my chin. As for finish, like I mentioned earlier, it does give off a dewy finish rather than a semi-matte finish. I have to say this is better suited for someone who has combination skin, but I feel like dry skin could also get away with it with good skin prep. It's not as drying. So transfer and longevity. I was actually surprised that this had low transfer, because Amuse's pink cushion has a high amount of transfer, so I feel like this new version is a major upgrade. The longevity of this cushion was impressive as well, because all the other Amuse collection don't really last very long. It's pretty cakey quickly. I would say about 3 to 4 hours, but don't get me wrong, the finish for all Amuse cushions are just absolutely glowy and beautiful. But the ceramic cushion held up even after 5 hours and didn't look messy like the new Too Cool for School cushion. So that was an impressive upgrade for Amuse. Every time I have high expectations for a cushion, then the product ends up being a disappointment, and when I have low expectations for a cushion, it exceeds my expectations. It's a perpetual cycle. So I hope this video was helpful if you have dry skin, but don't forget to always exfoliate the night before you apply cushion foundation, and always skin prep well because that makes a huge difference in application.